Hmm. My name is Christian, or rather Christian, without using English accent, or trying using English accent. Um, as you have already guessed, I'm not a native English speaker. I can use this language pretty fluently, but um, that's only my opinion, and this level of fluency is actually for you to decide. Um, I hope at least um, that I'm at least as um, fluent to so you can understand what I want to say. Um, Maybe it won't be the highest level of eloquency, but mm, but that's not the most important thing right now. Um, Also, I don't want to give lectures on philosophy or some other rather advanced topic, so this basic knowledge of English would suffice. Um, I hope, at least. So, without further ado, I would like to explain what is my idea on the sessions, on those kind of materials that I recently began to publish. Um, well, Um, you may have noticed that for many years past, uh, YouTube is um, there is an abundance of similar materials on YouTube where someone sits in front of a desk and do some kind of work, for example, studies or write something or anything, making notes. Um, and um, The goal of this of those videos is to um, provide you with some provide the viewers with some study buddy, some partner, or at least an idea of partner um, that they can learn together. And um, I guess the idea um, is to motivate yourself to do the work that you do not necessarily are willing to do otherwise. Um, and my idea is pretty similar, but but maybe I'm a bit more selfish about this because uh, recently I've noticed that I have a huge problems with staying consistent with my work. Um, for example, um, I'm currently working on many projects. Some are my main projects. Some uh, are collaborative projects when I work with other people, mainly friends. But some are my personal, private projects. And I tend to procrastinate a lot when doing this before I start doing my work. And even if I do, I don't do a lot of it. Um, Often I will stop after a few hours and then do basically nothing. Mm, I will just lose focus and in a vain attempts to regain focus, I would waste time um, trying to um, decide on what kind of music I will listen to during, for example, reading or writing. Um, and that's one thing I would like to mm, um, I would like to omit during my work. And I hope that doing these videos will help me and also you in achieving the same goal, which is not necessarily being productive, because the whole idea of productivity is, in my opinion, not necessarily toxic, but for sure it has a great potential to become toxic if you approach this topic from the wrong side. Um, so I would rather say that the goal here is to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. For me, that would be uh, writing some stories, completing my the book that I'm writing on, that I'm currently writing, learning Linux, learning some other IT technology stuff, um, um, and completing the work for my college. Um, um, and um, well, I don't know what more to say. I guess um, that's all I wanted to say. Mm, well, oh, I know what else. Um, well, the reason I am why it's so hard to me to do all those things. Um, I'm not really sure what is it. Maybe it's because my attention span is so low because I'm living in a postmodernism society uh, where under constant flux of social media bullshit, um, which is basically reducing my brain um, to an incoherent mass of some pulp. Um, but I guess that there is a high probability that I have some kind of mental disorder, maybe not mental disorder, but some kind of disorder like ADHD. I'm almost exactly sure that I have ADHD or at least some other um, imaginary disorder. um, imaginary. Um, but whatever it is, I'm sure that there are a lot of people like me in this world. Um, so I want to I hope that I would be able to reach those people and um, and not provide some guidance, because who am I to provide guidance? I'm not some kind of tech guru that you can find online. Um, I'm just a regular guy who is interested in technology, who is interested in learning, um, and who doesn't want to waste his time watching Netflix or doing some other shit. Um, so if your goal is similar or the same, then I hope that we will have some fun together. And now I guess we can finally proceed to today's topic, which is learning Vim. I'm not sure whether, well, I'm sure that many of you have already heard about Vim, but those who are unaware of Vim, um, Vim is a code editor, or rather a full-blown text editor, um, which is completely different than probably anything you have ever seen. Um, for start, for starters, it's very complicated. Um, Maybe not complicated, but complex, because learning them from my experience, which isn't huge, I have um, what do you call this? It's not underline, it's emphasize. I need to emphasize that my knowledge of them is rather marginal. I have some background with using them. I tried this. I tried using them around a year ago, and I have a basic understanding how to that you have to press I to insert some text? Did you have to press escape to enter to the normal mode, um, which will become clear what it is shortly. Um, and also can use some basic commands movement. Like I know that you have to use HJKL or arrows to move around, but I'm not even, I'm not really fluent in using Vim, which is my goal. Um, right now, I'm not even at the beginner level. I I have to struggle to do anything um, because sometimes I have to use Vim. Maybe not have to, but it's the most comfortable to use Vim. For example, while um, doing some configurations by writing some configuration files on my PC, or writing some quick script in shell. If you don't know what it is, don't worry. It's some IT stuff that maybe in future I will do some videos about them. But um, but my goal and what I want to achieve um, is to become more fluent with them, be able to use it as my day-to-day editor because I see a lot of potential in it. It's very customizable. It allows you to do a lot of things and automate work like any other, um, like beyond what any other editor I know of can do. Um, uh, but the thing is, I just um, hadn't given a chance for them to allow me to do it because I just bailed out. I thought that it's too hard for me, that maybe it's not worth it. But I guess who am I kidding? I was just lazy back then, and uh, either way, I don't have a lot of other things, but a lot of better things to do. So without further ado, um, I will proceed to work. Um, I'm using Linux, so if you are using Linux, it would be probably um, the same for you. Um, but maybe um, if you're using Linux, most commands and most of my experience would be the same for you. But if you're using some other systems like Windows or Mac, I don't really know how Vim works out there. I've never used Vim on Windows. I have never used Mac OS at all. Um, so I can help you with that. But I'm fairly sure that somewhere in the internet is some guy that would um, mm, that's already solved your problem, like on some Stack Exchange or something. So don't be a stranger and go there. Mm, right now, I'm going to open my terminal and maybe open some open vimtutor, uh, which is a program that is basically a textbook about Vim made by Vim developers. It is also a set of exercises that its goal is to familiarize the user with a basic set of utilities and commands that Vim provides. Um, and I'm almost entirely sure that the font size on my terminal is way too small for you to see anything. So right now I'm going to stop recording um, and make the font bigger. So I'll be right back. For you, the change will be instantaneous. Or you know what? Uh, I figure out that it would be more beneficial to actually show how I change font in my terminal. If you're a new Linux user or experienced Linux user, you may know or may not know um, that to change font in your terminal, you would simply press Control Alt, Control Shift and plus and Control minus. But as you can see, it does not work on my machine, which is because I use SD, suckless terminal, um, and the only thing I know of right now to change font in ST is to manually change it, the source code of this terminal, um, and recompile it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Um, all right. So mm, right now the font on my system uh, is already bigger. It's like 18 right now. I'm not sure. Uh, I can check it if you want. And how did I do this? Because I have just made an entire tangent about how did I changed those these settings, and but I was not aware that I have paused recording about then. Um, so I'm going to very quickly um, show you how did I do this, because on most machines you would just press Control Shift plus or Control Shift minus in your terminal application, and it would change the font size, but not in the Sutless terminal that I'm using. Here you have to uh, manually um, enter the source code of this terminal, change the config file, and recompile it. So that's what I'm going to do. Uh, I'm going to open it with Vim, um, and I have the whole catalog for Sutless tools. As you can see, I have the D menu, DWM, ST. I'm going to open ST, and the file that I'm going to need is this one, config.h. So, oh no, that's sutless st config.h. And right here you can see there is my font file. I use Hardnerd font with a pixel size of 18 right now. Previously it was 14 and it was way too small for you to see anything. So right now I'm going to write and quit them, and I would make this file, make this directory, which is basically a recompile, which will actually recompile the whole program. Um, and then I would need to install it. So I would make sudo make clean install. I'm not entirely sure whether you have to write this clean, because what make clean does, it removes any previously installed versions of ST, and I'm almost sure that install already does it, but whatever. I'm more willing to do this, even if it's not necessary. Oh shoot, I'm forgot to write my password. All right, so now I can um, reopen the ST and it would work. All right, so now let's proceed to the main part, which is actually learning how to use Vim. We'll do that with vimtutor, which is a program which is already installed with Vim. Mm, so as you can see inside it, it's a simple text file that you can manually edit, and mm, I can see that the estimated time that it is to take, that it is required to complete it, is 30 minutes, which I know that's probably bullshit, and I will need a lot more than this. But anyway, mm, let's see if we can. complete at least 50% of this tutor. I'm not going to assume that I will do uh, entire entire vimtutor in this video, but anyway. Hmm. So what do they say? Attention! The commands in the lessons will modify the text. Make a copy of this file to practice on. If you started vimtutor, this is already a copy. So whatever changes we will do in this file, we won't see them even if we exit the program with writing this file, with saving it. The changes won't be saved anyway, and we will open a new clean instance of vimtutor. So don't worry if you mess something up. If you did, just exit it with, I guess, uh, um, what is it? Double colon? Not sure the double dot sign. I'm not exactly sure. How is it called in English? Guess I'm. I'll just check. How is it called? Uh, it's what can Google it? It's called. Wait a minute. Um, how is it called? How can I Google it? Is this some kind of uh? Is this some kind of command uh, in in a web browser that I can't just write it and search for it and look for it? Uh, sign symbol. Oh, symbol name. Um, symbol name. What is it? Not ampersand. Jesus Christ! This is some kind of this is some kind of joke, and I'm doing it all on camera. Like punctuation mark, and can I do the colon? Right, it's colon. And this is semicolon. It all makes sense right now. Um, sure. So, uh, let's back to them. We can, if you, if it happens that you mess something up with this file, you could just write colon and Q, and it would quit this file, and then you can just reopen it, and any um, mm, any changes that you've made to this file uh, um, would be reset. Um, so, how can we move? Because I have already used mouse, but the true way to use to navigate through Vim is to use H, J, L, and K. K is to move upwards, J is to move down, left, uh, L is to move left, L, and H is to move right. Oh, and they actually give you some. Oh, I didn't want to do this. And they already give you some kind of mnemotechnic how to remember that J is to move down and K is to move up, and you can see that J looks like a down arrow, uh, and this might hint you that there's actually a downward motion. Um, so you can. So the more you know. Make sure that your caps lock key is not depressed and press the J enough times to move the cursor so that lesson 1.1 completely fills the screen. So that's the first exercise that we have to complete. Why we have to use, uh, why why we have to ensure that caps lock is not depressed? Well, because the size of letters, the case, does matter in them, and the uppercase J has a completely different sense, completely different meaning that a lowercase j. Mm, So, for example, the uppercase J does something like this. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but uh, but it's definitely not going down. So um, I can undo what I have just done with using lowercase u, like undo, and oh, and Vim has told me that I can't undo further because I'm already at the oldest change. So moving down, mm, move the cursor so that lesson 1.1 completely fills the screen. All right, so there we are. And what do they say next? Move the cursor around the screen until you feel comfortable. Well, I guess it would take uh, too long to uh, to feel comfortable with this motion. It's actually pretty weird for me to um, move with HJKL. I've always used arrow keys to move around in them, um, but I guess it's kind of ergonomic. You can easily use all four fingers of your hand. When using arrow keys, you can use only three, and you have to move your middle finger back and forth to go up and down. When using this, you can utilize your whole hand, mm, which I guess if you do do have some practice with it, might be far more beneficial when it comes to productivity. Mm, right, so next, hold down the key J until it repeats. Right, so I've done it. Using the down key, move to lesson 1.2. If you are ever unsure about something you type, press escape to place you in normal mode, then retype the command you wanted. The cursor keys should also work, but using HJKL, you will be able to move around much faster once you get used to it. Really? Well, I'm going to believe them, and from now on, I'm using only HJKL. Um, I could, I guess I could just tape some gunk on my arrow keys so I won't be able to use them, but I don't want to mess my keyboard. So, lesson 1.2, editing in Vim. Exiting Vim. All right. I can't read on top of what I've said earlier. Note, before executing any of the steps below, read this entire lesson. I guess makes sense. I don't want to screw anything up. Press the escape key to make sure you're in normal mode. Right, so what is normal mode? I'm not exactly sure. Um, I am aware of what a normal mode is, but this tutor hasn't told me this yet. So to explain this to you, um, in Vim you have three basic modes. At least I'm aware of three basic modes. I know that uh, instead of um, in other editors like Visual Code, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, or anything like this, or Jedit, uh, or Notepad, your keyboard, any key on your keyboard is its main function is to write the letter that is written on top of it. For example, if you write K, that is meant to write K on the screen. Instead, in Vim, a normal mode of work with Vim is to give this program commands like uh, pressing K is a way of telling them move up one line, and pressing L is move left one letter, one character, and so on. There are also many other commands in Vim like D, W, uh, Y, B, and so on. And almost any key on your keyboard has is interpreted by Vim in some way, and this is the normal mode when you give Vim commands. If you want to write something, you have to enter insert mode by pressing I, like insert, and you can see that Vim has already told me that I'm now in an insert mode. And now any key that I'm going to press on my keyboard um, is going to input some characters. So right now I'm just writing some junk on my keyboard. And if I press escape now, I'm going to exit this mode and I'm back to giving commands to Vim. For example, I can undo what I have just done by pressing, if you can remember from what I've said earlier, lowercase u. And it did undone everything I have done so far. Um, and there's also something called visual mode, which is to highlight text, to select some parts of text. Uh, you are already familiar with this concept where using mouse in other editors you can select some text and then copy and paste it somewhere else or delete. But in Vim you have to use a special mode, a visual mode, to do this. But moving on, we can press escape to ensure that we are in normal mode, and then we have to press colon, Q, and exclamation mark, and then enter. And this will exit the editor. I'm not going to do this right away um, because, as they have said, I have to read the entire lesson before I do anything like this. So I'm going to do this. Get back here by executing the command that got you into this tutor. That might be vimtutor. If you have these steps memorized and are confident, execute steps 1 through 3 to exit and re-enter the editor. Alright, so and here's an important note that using colon Q exclamation mark discards any changes we have made to this file. Q is basically telling them to quit right now, and exclamation mark is a way to force them to do something that might be potentially dangerous. Like exiting a file without saving it is potentially dangerous because you might lose all your hard work that you've done on this file. So Vim will, in default mode, Vim will tell you, hold on, you have not saved anything. Are you sure you want to quit? And then you can force him to quit using exclamation mark. So exclamation mark is just a way to force a command when the Vim would prevent you from doing some potentially dangerous stuff. All right, so let's proceed to the next lesson, and it's deletion. And next command we can learn is to X. We can press X to delete anything from normal mode. Again, in other editors, you would just navigate to some place in text and just press backspace. Backspace in Vim actually is equivalent to H. It just moves you right. Uh, so to delete something, you have to navigate to line below marked with arrow. So we'll do this. And now we have to fix the errors, move the cursor until it's on top of the character to be deleted. All right, we have a block cursor, so it's not a vertical line that is placed um, before the place where you will enter text. The block uh, is giving you information about what um, letter, what character would be um, mm, uh, what character would your command affect. So right now, if I move on this C, um, I can just press X and it will delete this C. And now I'm going to do this with other letters, and I guess this is a correct sentence. Mm, so, um, all right, so that was the X command. I'm sure that there was another way of deleting things in Vim, um, and have heard that X is not the most um, optimal way to delete things. It's rather um, for deleting single letters or something like that. Then it's fast. But if you want to delete larger chunks of text, there is a different command. I'm not. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm sure we will get to it. Um, so, oh, and here is a very important note. As you go through this tutor, we ought not to memorize things that we have just learned, and we should learn by usage. So the whole idea of using Vim or actually learning any type of software, um, in my opinion too, is to actually use it and not read some kinds of textbooks, some kinds of guides. Um, those are good for familiarize you with concept or make you feel more comfortable while attempting to use this software for first time. But if you want to learn it, if you want to master it, you have to use it, and you have to use it a lot. And that's why we're doing this Vim tutor in the first place, right? Um, so text editing insertion is next stop on our path. And this is what I've been talking about a while ago, um, the insert mode. We enter it by pressing I, the lowercase I on our keyboard, and let's follow these steps. Move the cursor to the first line below marked arrow. Okay, I'm already there. To make the first line be the same as the second, move the cursor on top of the character before, which is the text, is to be inserted. Right, so Vim, mm, this block command, this block character that I'm moving around right now, um, is selecting some character. And in Vim, I am know two ways of entering characters, of entering text. It is either behind, before some selected character, and after the selected character. So to place a new text before some character, you have to press I. And now, for example, I will say dog. Um, and this dog word appeared to the left of the is, to the left of the block. If I want to place it behind the letter I, which is selected, I would use a lowercase a, like apple. And and if, as you can see, my block character moved over to the S, and that means that now I will be um, entering letters behind, after the I letter and before the S. Um, Also, those letters, those commands have the uppercase equivalent, the uppercase option, and if the lowercase I um, begin to enter text before a character, and the lowercase a insert begin to insert text after some character, then you can already guess that uppercase I would allow you to enter text at the beginning of the line, and uppercase A at the end of the line. And this is actually pretty cool design, because many times, especially when editing a code, when programming, writing some scripts, you would find yourself in need of quickly getting to the end of the line, or to the beginning of the line. And it's a real chore to do this by hand, or to manually um, moving with your mouse and placing your cursor in mm, at the end of the line by in that way. So pressing a single key, uh, I mean two keys actually, Shift and A or Shift and I, um, is really convenient. So I can already see a huge a huge benefit, uh, potential benefit, because first you need to memorize, to learn all this stuff. But I guess time will pass anyway, so I can at least use it to learn something new, right? So what was our task? To repair this line of text. Guess right, correct the sentence to be exactly the same as the sentence below. So there's some missing. Uh, Now I have to exit insert mode to move to the next word, and enter insert mode. Press S, exit, move to the left, insert I, exit to normal mode, move to the left, enter insert from, exit, mm, and so on. And it's it can't be the most efficient way to do it, because a normal text editor, if you want to move around faster using your uh, keyboard, you don't have to move with arrow keys, which move you one character or one line at a time. You could use Control left and Control right arrow, and that would move you um, by a whole word, left or right. So it would move you basically to the next space. Um, and in Vim, there must be a way to accomplish it also, just not with Control H and Control L and Control J and K, uh, because these do something completely different, or they does not nothing. Um, they do not nothing. Um, so I guess we will get to know how to do this in the next lesson or somewhere in the future. Text editing appending. All right. So this is what I was talking about. So mm, mm, mm. So I won't elaborate on this one, but you can append text to the end of the line Like here, I can be at the very beginning of the line. I can press uppercase A, and uh, I can already write. I am already in the insert mode. I can instantly begin to write this sentence. So this line dot, and go to the bottom, Shift A, missing here dot. I could also press lowercase a, and it would place me one. It would begin uh, pressing, entering text to the right of the H character that my cursor rests upon, um, but but you have already, but I have already told you about this. So up to the next lesson, editing a file. Use W and Q to save a file and exit. Right, so in Vim, you can also insert more complex commands using colon. And you have already familiarized one, which is Q, which is, I guess, short for quit. No, oh, right, it is short from quit. And Vim is doing what I was talking about, where it prevents me from exiting if I have not written any changes, if I have not saved any changes in this file. So, mm, or if I have some unsaved changes in this file. So, to exit, to quit Vim, I can I can force him to quit using Q and exclamation mark, or a full command quit exclamation mark, or I could first um, write this file, which saves it to a file, um, and then you can press Q. Also, you can chain those commands in a single in something that looks like a single command, but actually it Vim uh, would just uh, execute them in chain. So I can write WQ, and Vim will execute first W, which will write this file, and Q, which will quit Vim. So we will do this right now. And you can see I have quit Vim in that way. And we will reopen it and scroll down to the um, text editing appending, editing a file. Right, editing a file. Um, right, so um, also in the future we will see a more efficient way to uh, move around text on a much larger scale. Right now we can only move one line up or down, um, but they don't talk about this right now, so I won't either. Well, so we have editing a file, exit this tutor, we already done. At the show prompt, type this command vimtutor, enter. Right, insert delete text, save the file. All right, so there's nothing actually um, interesting here. They tell us that we can specify in which file Vim can can save this file. Right now, I have some file opened, the file specified by this vimtutor, um, but I can save this file in some other way, in some other place. I can do this by writing W or write and a name of a new file. I'll say tutor.txt, and right now I can open a new terminal window and see that actually there is um, a tutor.txt file that wasn't present here earlier, and I can insert. I can enter this file, and we can see that it is exactly the same file. So I will quickly remove it, close this terminal window, and get back to work. So what we have here? Oh, actually, give me. Um, Let me take a sip of water. Oh, it's been a long time since I have talked so much in a single sitting. Mm. So I guess my throat isn't exactly is not exactly holding up. Right, so we have a summary of the lesson one, which we have already finished, and the cursor is moved using either a we can now know how to exit Vim, how to save changes, how to delete character under cursor, and how to insert and how to append text after the line. And also we have already we have already uh, memorized much more than this um, because of my small tangents. Mm, but I guess it's all for the better. So um, we can proceed to deletion commands, which is lesson 2. All right, this is the command that I have. Uh, that I have. Tell. How do you tell? How do you say? Mm, which I have hinted. Um, which I've hinted a while ago. Which is we can delete a larger chunks of text by using a D command, which is short for delete. And they say to use a DW sentence, um, which will delete a word. Um, in Vim, there is a notion of motion command and operation command. Uh, I guess it was called operation. I'm not really sure right now, but let's call it for the time being. So the difference between them is that motion command will just move you around, and the operation command will do some changes in text. Like X, for example, is an operation command because it deletes a character or deletes some text. And delete or D is also an operation command because it deletes text. But J, K, L, or W, or $sign are all motion commands because they just move you around. And how they do this, I will tell you right now. Because what they are doing right here by combining the operation command D with motion command W, um, it is a much more general concept than what they are presenting here. You can actually move around using the motion command W, and what it does, it moves you to the beginning of the next word. So if I am at the D word, at the beginning of the D, and I will press W, uh, I would land on a C in the cursor word. So let's see, and it happened. So W is a command that moves you to the beginning of the next word. Also, there is an equivalent of E, and E is the end of the word. So we can use a lowercase e, and it will teleport us to the end of the next word. We can also use B, that takes us to the beginning of the word. Um, and those are those are the some most basic motion commands: W, E, and B. Those three. Also, we have a dollar sign, which, if you are familiar with regex or regular expressions, you may suspect the dollar sign will teleport you to the end of the line, and it exactly does. But why? Because in regular expressions, if you are not familiar with it, don't worry. um, you can check it later, or maybe I will do some material on it in the future. But there are just some ways to describe a some patterns of texts. For example, if you want to if you want to search a file and look for words that begins with the letter B, you could write a regex um, that describes such word, and the such regex would look probably right um, B, um, any sequence of older characters, and space, and probably a space in front of B, because otherwise we would match this regex would match things like ABC, because um, or even something like this because in this word there is a substring that begins with B. But what we are actually interested in uh, mm, is a word which begins with space, then there's lowercase b, then some other characters, it doesn't matter what they are, and then space. So, um, by the way, well, never mind. What you need to know that um, dollar sign is a way in regex to describe the end of the line. The dollar sign matches with the end of the line, with the end of line character, and um, there is a. I'm not really sure uh, how this sign is named. Probably haczek or something like this. In Polish, it would be haczyk. Um, but this sign matches with the beginning of the line. So, as you can guess, the pressing dollar sign, which is Shift and 4 on keyboard, teleports you to the end of the line, and Shift hatchet teleports you, which is Shift 6, teleports you to the beginning of the line. All right, so mm, as I have already said earlier, we can combine commands. Like we can press D to delete something, and Vim actually displays what commands I have inserted here, and um, the commands that I have inserted and that weren't already executed, like example D, because D does not do anything if I press only D. I have to provide it with some other component, some other command, which will tell D how much of text, how many letters, of how many words, of how many lines um, it is. It has to delete. So, oh, right now I can, for example, press D and L, and it would remove a single character to the left. Or I could move to the E and press D, H, and it would remove the previous letter, a letter to the left. I could also press DW, and DW deletes a whole word. And what's important is to press a cursor in at the beginning of the word, because otherwise If I, for example, place my cursor in the middle on R and press DW, I would, I won't delete, it won't delete the whole word. It would delete the part of the word to the right and the and the next space. And now we have uh, the word P escape, which is actually not what we wanted. Um, so um, you have to remember that to delete a word, you have to be at the beginning of the word. Or there is a way to go around this limitation. You can press something. You can specify not only how much of the text the vim is about to the D command has to delete, but also um, the neighborhood of text which is to be deleted. So you can specify the whole area that this D command is um, um, is about to delete. So I can the two words that I know of we can use to specify that area is I, like inside, and A, like around. Because what it does, uh, for example, I press D, I, and uh, W, it will delete the whole word. And the preceding and the next space, white characters, white space characters, are not affected by those delete command, because what I have done, um, what did is he looked at this word that my cursor rests upon. He figured out the borders of the word, which is P and S, and he deleted only those characters that were inside the boundaries of this word, which is PRESS. And that's what DI does. What I could also do is DA, which would delete not only what is inside, but also its immediate neighborhood. So if I press DAW, it will delete also white spaces around this word. And it might sound like pretty negligible, pretty useless, but um, in this regard, maybe it is. But let's see at such example. I would say a quotation mark, some words in it, and then I can place my cursor anywhere inside these quotation marks. I can press D, I to delete everything inside this parentheses, and um, tell them to delete parentheses by writing shift parentheses. And what did this? Oh, um, so I have written DI parentheses, no parentheses, but quotation mark, and Vim has deleted DI quotation mark, not DI quotation mark, and Vim has deleted everything that was inside those quotation marks. But I can also uh, press DA quotation mark, and what it will do, I'm guessing it will delete also the quotation marks. So let's see, and yes, it did. Um, so you can use it, for example, for in this kind of situation, and also it also applies when you have something inside the brackets. Um, so you can move inside the brackets, press DI bracket, and what I have written before was DI bracket to delete something inside brackets. And also I can say DA brackets, and it will delete the whole bracket with brackets also. So that's what the A and I specifiers does to a D command. So now we can move more efficiently by using W to move a word, B to move a word to the beginning of the previous word, E to the end of the word, and so on. Mm. All right, so we can complete this exercise. There are some words that don't belong on paper in this sentence, so I guess it will be fun. So I will press DW, right? So and it works, and oh, uh, I moved to the middle of the paper, and well, I guess I could go back here and press DW, but I won't. I will use DAW, and it would delete the whole world with the whole insides of the word. I could also say DAW, and it would do the same thing in this situation at least. All right, so lesson 2.2 is completed, and now we can learn how to delete to the end of the line. As I've already told you, there is a $sign which moves you to the end of the line, like this. So you can move your cursor here and say, all right, so Vim, go here and can say Vim, okay, so go here and delete everything to the end of the line. And it will do this I did this by pressing D and $sign. What I could also do is use a shortcut, which is uppercase D, which does the same thing. It's just a shortcut for pressing D and $sign. I could also delete the whole D and the hatchek or Shift 6, and it would be delete everything to the beginning of the line. And also I could press 0 to move to the beginning of the line. It's equivalent of the Shift 6. Right. So give me a minute, and after a short break, I will come back to you. All right, so the break is already over. It was about 5 minutes. I just wanted to check how much time I have left, and I have plenty, so we can proceed. Right, so let's move. What is the next lesson? And operators and emotions. All right, that's basically what I have told you before. We have operators and we have emotions. We have W and E. We have a $sign. We have hatchek. And what's more important is that we can not only specify that we want to move um, forward a word, but we can specify how many words or how many characters we want to move forward. For example, we can say that move forward one word, and we will do this, but it is pretty slow. So we can say press a number on our keyboard, for example, 4, and then a motion command like W, and it would move 4 words um, to the left, to the right. Also, I could write 5 B, and it would move 5 words to the left. And we can also chain those commands with operators like D. For example, I can press D to words, uh, which is like actually talking in English or like in Python, uh, because I say D like delete to W like words, and it deletes 2 words. Also, I could say D5L, which deletes 5 characters to the left, D10H, which deletes 10 characters to the left, and as you can see, I can delete uh, any number of characters for at least 2000 characters to the left, and it didn't actually delete it 2000 characters because it deletes only to the end of the line. So uh, it does not uh, do exactly what you told it, but it moves to some arbitrary bound. For in this example, that arbitrary bound was the end of the line. So let's undo those changes. And right here uh, we see that we can move around like 3 words to the front, 3 uh, 3e to the uh, end of the third word to the right, and so on. We can press also 0 to move to the beginning of the line, but we already know this, so whatever. What we have here, we can use count to delete some characters, and this is the exercise to do this. We have some line of text with a junk in it, and what we can do, we can delete it like using dw, but it's pretty it's not really that optimal. So what we can do is we can specify how many words we want to delete. And let's say we want to delete how many words? We want to delete 2 words. D2W. All right. Now move to the next word. Um, there are 4 words to delete, so 4W. And to the next, and D3W. And the whole line is cleaned up. Uh, so now we have operating on lines, and we have another shortcut. Because what if we wanted to delete a line of text? For example, we have a short exercise where there is this nice poem, but we see that some of the lines, some of the verses are nonsensical, like violets are blue, I have a car. What does it even mean? How does this connect? So um, we could, I guess, go to the beginning of the line, press D and the dollar sign, and then uh, insert and delete the whole line. But as you can see, it doesn't even delete the line. It just leaves the empty space because we didn't delete the end of line character. So what we can do is place our cursor anywhere in this line and press DD, and it deletes this line completely. We could also say delete two lines by combining the DD command with a number, like we want to delete 5 lines, so 5DD, and it deleted whole 5 next lines. So now let's delete those lines that does not match, that does not belong here. So I guess mud is fun is one of them. Then I have a current clock style time. They're both out of place, so we will delete both of them. Right, so there is a nice poem here. Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. Thank you, Vim. Um, Now what we can do next. Oh, that's what I told you at the beginning, that we can use u, uh, lowercase u, to delete last command. Um, so we can like remove what they want me to do. Move the cursor to the line below marked with arrow and place it on the first error. Type X to delete the first unwanted character, alright? This time fix all the errors on the line using the X command. Right, so errors on this line and replace them with undo. Right, so now type a capital U to return the line to its original state. So that's a command that I have never heard of. This is the first time I see it, and it works like a charm. um, but in this example, we probably actually want to leave those changes. So how do I undo my undo? And they provide us with the answer right here in this in the 7th point, the point 7, where they instruct us to use Control R, and Control R. Uh, oh, oh, right. Type U a few times to undo the uppercase U. So, and Control R. Right. So, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is something really, really weird. So we can undo all changes in this line with uppercase U, but we can also undo this uppercase undo with lowercase undo, and we can reapply them with Control R, like reapply. So that's it. Okay, I think I have a pretty good grasp on it. Those are very useful commands. Yes, I can see that. Listen to summary. Oh, I guess we don't need some summary. Put command is the next. You can put previously deleted text after the cursor. Move the cursor to the first letter marked with arrow. Type DD to delete the line and store it in a Vim register. Move the cursor to the C line above where the deleted line should go. Type P to put the line below the cursor. Oh God, a lot of work to do. So basically they want us to rearrange those lines. So I guess the first one will be roses are, oh, they're um, they have those bullet points um, that are the letters, so we can just place them in the alphabetical order, I guess. So let's start with A. we will DD this line, then move up and press P. Oh no, this is not what I wanted to do. Pressing P actually pastes this line below the cursor. Um, but I know a workaround around this. So we could go a line up, a line to the up, line up, right? Line up, line to the top. I don't know how to say it correctly. Mm. And then press P, and it will do what we wanted. But we could also, from this line, press Shift P, which is uppercase P, and it will apply and it will paste off to the top of the current cursor position. Um, on top, right? It will insert it on top the current cursor position. So let's proceed with the next lines. Next it will be B. Oh, I guess we can use BC are already in order, so we can place them on top of D. So let's delete both of those lines together by pressing 2DD. Now move the cursor up and place Shift P. Yes, that's what we wanted. All right. Need to pause. Right. So where did we stop? We stopped at. Oh, you can see that I'm now moving a much faster through through this file because I'm using Control D. Control D is a command that scrolls you a screen below or half a screen to the bottom. We have recently completed the put command. Right, so now let's move to the replace. So replace is a command that we can replace a single character under the cursor. Like here we have two world, or even earlier on this line we have one instead of one. So we can just move the cursor on top of the A, click R like replace, and replace it to E by pressing the character we want to replace it with. Now we can proceed to the next error, which is M that needs to be changed to N. Oh, typed. Yes, it's annoying if you need to replace more than one. Rog, replace it with wrong keys. All right, so that's it. Now is the change operator. The change operator works like a little bit like D, but the only thing that D did was to delete some parts of text. With CE, we can not only delete them, but what CE does, it deletes them and then it places us into insert mode. So we can immediately start to enter some changes into this file at this place. So um, let's actually show how this works. For example, we have this lubu instead, and it should be line instead. So we can just press CE, which will delete this whole word and puts us into and place us into insert mode. And now I can write line and press escape to go back to normal mode. And now I can move to the next word, press CE, write words, escape to go to normal mode. Next word by pressing W, CE, need, escape, W, W, CE using escape. And the whole line of text have just been corrected, and it was a breeze, like a breeze compared to those sucker with the R command. I guess the R command is really its only use case to use the R command is if you want to replace single character. If you want to replace anything more, even two characters next to each other, it's much more convenient to use the CE. Also, there is a CC command, which is a cleave equivalent of DD, which deletes the whole line and immediately allows you to write in this line. So let's place our cursor anywhere on this line, press CC, and now I can write something to it. Let's undo those changes and go to the next. And this is the lesson that shows us how much similarity is between C and D and actually any other operator command, which is that we can always, I guess always, at least always with the commands that I know of, we can chain those commands together by telling which commands to execute, in this example C, now telling how many motions it has to do and what kind of motion it has to do. For example, we want to replace two two consecutive words like motions are. I want to, for example, say not motions are, but um, mm, I don't notion is, for example. So let's how would I do this? I would say C to delete and replace two words. Now I can say not motions are, so now it will be notion is. And it did exactly what I wanted. Also, um, what is marked in this lesson is that we can use a dollar sign to delete to the rest of the line. Uh, Here we need to delete from this character to the right, to the end of the line, by using C and dollar sign and place and write to be corrected using the C dollar sign command. And now what we could do, because you probably remember that there is a shortcut for D command where instead of using D dollar sign to delete to the end of the line, we could press uppercase D. And actually we can do the same here by pressing uppercase C, and it will do exactly the same. It will delete to the end of the line and allow us to write. So it is a shortcut for C uh, for C dollar sign. Corrected using the uppercase C command this time. Right, so what is next? Summary. Oh, we know what we've learned. The cursor location and file status. So at the beginning of this session, I told you that you could. Mm, oh my god, my coffee is already cold. Well, I guess I'm sitting here for almost 2 hours now, so that's no wonder. It went cold. So back to the lesson. What can we do? We can move our cursor not only by those arrow keys or HJKL, we can also move using Control G. And Control G is mm, is a special command which tells you where exactly you are. So let's press Control G, and now it tells me that we are in this file tmp-tutor coś tam, yada yada, and this file was modified, and then I am at line 491 of 972 total, which is a 50% of vimtutor, and I'm currently in a column 67. So I can remember that this is 491. What can I do next? Um, I could, um, all right, so this is what happened. And what can I do then? I could press uppercase G to go to the bottom of the file. I will do this, and this is the end of the vimtutor. What can I do also? I can press GG, lowercase g, to move to the top of the file. What I could also do, I can jump to the specified line. Like I can say, what line was it? 492, and press uppercase G, and it will teleport me to this very line. I could also achieve it in a different way. I could say not 492 uppercase G. I could say colon 492, enter, and it would also teleport me to this line. So there are two ways to achieve the same goal. Um, what next? Oh, we can also search in text, search some text in this file by using the slash. I can, for example, slash um, L, oh, no, error, which which immediately teleports me to this instance of this word. I can also press lowercase n to move to the next occurrence, or shift n to move to the previous. Mm, there's also a command quotation mark error. No. Quotation mark error, which moves me to the which is a top search, where I move from bottom to when I search from bottom to the top, the slash searches from the top to the bottom. So it's like a reverse. I guess there's no really a use case uh, for quotation mark, because you can just move Shift N with slash, but I guess well, maybe someone uses it, but I think that its use case are marginal. And next is lesson for free, but I guess I'll leave it for the next session because I'm running out of time right now. So thank you for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time when we will hopefully complete this Vim tutor. So till the next time.